In this season of goodwill to all persons, we call on the fourth-term president, who had a very active press conference yesterday, in the spirit of goodwill of the season, to actually propose an amendment to the National Resource Fund Act that will allow the opposition to nominate a representative on the board of the National Resource Fund and also on the Oversight Committee. As you're all well aware, the opposition has only been allowed to nominate a person to the Investment Committee. And that person, Dr. Terrence Campbell, last week in a letter to the editor, disclosed several disturbing aspects of what is happening with the National Resource Fund and its release. We believe that in the spirit of national interest, that an opposition representative ought to be proposed and ought to be allowed to nominate a representative both to the Oversight Committee and to the board. Secondly, we have observed yesterday when the fourth-term president held his press conference, he chose to attack Dr. Campbell and call him a racist. That was a dog whistle. And today, we have seen on social media several citizens calling for the boycott of Dr. Campbell's businesses. I don't believe that if you are as responsible as a person who is serving their fourth term as president and who reminded us just yesterday that he became president at 35 and now at 60 he's still president, that it is a responsible act to call a citizen out, a business person, as racist when there's absolutely no basis for doing so, and thereby trigger your supporters to commence a boycott of the business of that citizen. The danger with this sort of activity and this sort of action is that there will be a reaction, and then the entire business community will be governed by a series of calls for boycotts of several businesses. Because if Mr. Campbell's business is going to be boycotted because the president called him a racist, then you can imagine what is going to happen in the society. And therefore, where there has been a direct attack on the economic viability of a citizen who chose courageously to comment on the National Resource Fund, he didn't attack anybody, he spoke specifically about the Natural Resource Fund and how it was managed, and he specifically spoke about a politician and their opposing views at different times which are convenient to them. He ends up being identified as a racist, and his business is now being the subject of a boycott. We believe this is going to be very bad for business in Guyana, particularly at Christmas, and we can well imagine the consequences that will follow this sort of action. So we believe the responsible thing to do at this point is for the fourth-term president to perhaps withdraw those comments, because of course I don't believe that it is healthy if we start inviting people to boycott businesses on the basis of your categorization of them. And we're far past the stage where people are just going to sit down, lie down, and take it. Somebody else is going to call for the boycott of somebody else's business because of something else they did, and then this may well spiral out of control. So we believe that in the spirit of goodwill for this season, let us all take a step back and make sure that whatever we do is in the best interest of Guyana.